All right, everyone, welcome back into another fantasy golf video. Going to be breaking down two tournaments here for you guys. We had the Scottish Open as well as the ICO Championship. So going to be giving you guys mostly the deep dive for the Scottish Open, but also touching on that secondary event that we have. But first, let's go and get into a quick recap from the John Deere Classic. It was a good week. Hopefully you guys had a good week as well. Let's jump into that. So obviously it's going to be a good week when 3 out of your 4 core plays end up finishing T7 or better, with one of them winning it. That was a good start to the week. And talking about like cash plays as well, 2 missed cuts from the cash play. Maverick Benili, who was a chalky option for a lot of people, and Neil Shipley unfortunately missed the cut as well. But we'll take 77% of the cash plays, especially in last week's tournament, making the cut. And that actually led to a lot of 9-to-5 members having a very good week. We had one member finish 6th in a big GPP, as well as someone finished 2nd in a little bit of a smaller GPP, which was awesome to see. Myself, I finished 11th in a GPP. DFS wise, good week. Outright wise, you guys probably already know this, but it was a good week there. Davis Thompson hit him at 25-1 on points bet. That was a bet that I was really trying to hammer home. Really felt like we had Aaron Rye, Davis Thompson, Maverick McNeely. Those were 3 bets that we just kind of had to make last week because it was kind of that simple on paper. But outright wise, it wasn't the only good part of last week. Betting wise, in general, the 3-ball bets continued to dominate. 1 loss, and this is from round 1. 1 loss, 6 wins, and 1 push. So very good there. And then from that same video, from where I'm pulling this from, props betting wise, the slips gave out 2 slips, 1 hit, 1 just missed, and 75% as a whole. But yes, the John Deere Classic ended up being a pretty easy week to predict. One of my favorite placement bets was actually Andrew Novak, 2 top 10 or top 20. Top 10 was 7-1. Top 20 was 3-1, which is awesome. But that's kind of what has been happening lately, guys. You look at the Rocket Mortgage Classic I mentioned, kind of unlucky that we had 2 runner finishes that didn't win. They probably should have won. Both of those guys were Aaron Rye, Davis Thompson in the mix again. Scotty Schauffele has been Scotty Schauffele, but like very predictable these last few winners. You look at Davis Thompson, he was top 5 in the 9-to-5 model. We had 2 runner-ups at the Rocket Mortgage Classic. Scotty Schauffele, obviously top 5 in the 9-to-5 model. Bryson DeChambeau, top 5 in the 9-to-5 model. Scotty Schauffele, top 5. Robert McIntyre, sure. This was like the one week in which we had some weird results in terms of predictability. And then we go back to the Charles Schwab Challenge. Was on Keegan, was on Morikawa, and obviously, again, Scotty there. Continuing on, obviously, I was on Xander. Davis Thompson finished 2nd at the Myrtle Beach Classic. Wells Fargo was on Rory. The CJ Cup, slight difference. Alex Noren finished 2 shots off the lead. Rory and Shane Lowry were top 2 in the 9-to-5 model. And so, guys, it's like we are in this predictable portion of the season, and it's actually crazy just how many winners we have had that have been very predictable winners. And obviously, Scotty Scheffler is part of that mix. But throughout the seasons, when you're looking at like outright winners, 20 to 33% of them should be like top 5% in the model. You're always going to have about, some random winners, as we have seen. But we have actually seen these tournaments be a little bit more predictable, especially after those first 6 weeks of the season. And so hopefully that continues for us this week as well. But going ahead and get into the Genesis Scottish Open, I'll be referring to as the Scottish Open. We are going to see that this event hopefully is not going to be a bad event, especially when you look at it in terms of past winners. We've seen Rory win last year. Then the year prior, we saw Xander win. Now, we have seen this tournament played at the same course for years now as well. It was more of an official DP Tour event, but a lot of PGA Tour players actually would elect to play in that event. So we are going to have a decent amount of course history. And so when we are looking at something like course history, we are going to have a good amount of players that have had a decent amount of starts. So Tom Kim, 2 starts here, 2 top 10 finishes. Tommy Fleetwood is going to be someone that I think is going to be too good of a play to pass up on DFS-wise, but outright betting-wise as well. 3 top 10 finishes here, okay? A 26th place finish mixed in there as well, so we like that. Max Homa has played well here. Xander is a winner here, but I want to talk about his results and then also kind of like Rory as well. This is kind of a week in which, obviously it's the week before a major. Sometimes players just don't have their A game per se at an event, and maybe they just don't mentally show up throughout the weekend. They might still try to make the cut, but that is always a little bit of a constraint that we have in terms of players playing an event before a major, is that sure, if you're not playing well, you might not be as mentally focused as you typically would be because it's the week before a major. But we do have a good idea of who we're looking at course history-wise, and I do think that is something we do want to focus in on, especially with some of these golfers just not having that many starts. And so we pivot on into stat fits, guys. The nice thing about this course as well that we've seen a decent amount of times is that we're going to know which key stats we're looking at. A lot of par 5 scoring goes into this. I know it's only a par 70, but you do need to be taking advantage of the par 5s, those scoring opportunities. Okay, and actually, strangely enough, bogey or better percentage is more of a key stat this week than birdie to bogey ratio. Now, I am also looking at bogey avoidance because this is a tournament in which it is typically a harder scoring track. Sometimes normal, sometimes we'll play a little bit normal, but there are bogeys to be made as well. So we will be looking at bogey avoidance. Now, it's not exactly like a scoring fest, but it's the players that are taking advantage of those scoring opportunities that tend to play better. I mean, we do see that every single week, but it was interesting to note that birdie or better percentage was so much more significant than birdie to bogey ratio. I thought that was interesting, so I wanted to point that out. Good drive percentage is actually pretty huge here, somewhat thicker rough, and then with that, total driving does matter as well here. So top stat fits, probably no surprise after I laid it out to you guys like that. Xander, Morikawa, Keith Mitchell continues to be a good stat fit. We got Aubert, Hovland, Thompson, Rory. I mean, really not shocking, especially you guys have been following along this year. Like, those have been the good plays. And so when we look at the golfers in the best recent form, we can take Lee out of there, I guess, with one start there. Again, that's something that small sample size, don't adjust that when we're looking at just these data points, recent form, stat fit, stuff like that. That will be adjusted for in the model, though. But looking at Rory, then Xander, then Morikawa, then Corey Connors. Corey Connors has been a made cut machine. Want a little bit more consistent upside from him. But he does have this extremely weird trend, guys, where Corey Connors has literally done this, where 27th, 9th, 20th, 6th, 26th, if you go back further, another top 10 finish. So this is going to be the week that he gives us a good finish. Just interesting to note there. Aaron Rye continues to play well. Hideki continues to play well. Now, it is the week before a major. Do we want to target him? We'll see. Davis Thompson, obviously, continues to play well, obviously coming in off of victory. But the nice thing about this week is that we're going to have a lot of players that are coming in as much better plays when we look at all the key metrics for that week's tournament. And then just real quickly, specialist-wise, always fun to note, but I don't think we need to go crazy with it. Again, not adjusting for a small sample size here, but really no shocks in terms of who the top specialists are. Maybe a little bit of Ben Griffin popping up in there. That might be the only one I'm like, oh, maybe there's something there. Maybe we can get to in value-wise. But let's go ahead and get to the top plays for this week. So really, in two ways, this is kind of like Rory or Xander. What I mean by that is, like, betting-wise or DFS-wise, you might have to be choosing between one or the other in terms of who you want to go in on the most. Because these two are kind of the clear-cut choices in the field this week. I don't really need to dwell on that too much. I think everyone kind of knows that. But looking at it, guys, these two plays are going to be the top two. Now, I do want to call it a slight update that I made to the 9-to-5 membership, or to the cheat sheet, which is available for 9-to-5 members, is that when you click on the player profile, you are going to see this slight update here. Whereas when you're looking at someone's profile, again, just showing you guys that you click on that cell and then you click on this, it'll pop up their player profile. Then it's going to bring us everything that we want to know for that week's tournament. Betting odds we're going to have in there. So we can see we're getting some odds for Xander. And so right now we can see the best one outright wise would be Bet Online at 9-to-1. Ownership wise, that's not going to be there just yet. We don't need to worry about that. You see all the top stats that we'd want to be looking at. Is there anything that might be concerning for them as a play for that week's tournament? And then I'm working on adding in some new stuff down here as well, like recent form related stuff. But we can see their specialist data there as well. So again, I'm always trying to make updates to the website if I can, if they're going to be useful. But Xander is obviously just a clear-cut play for us again this week. Sure, 42nd place finish at this week's tournament last year, or at this event last year. I think that's like his worst recent start in quite some time. Former winner, finished 10th at this event prior to that as well. So 3 straight made cuts. Obviously, key stat-wise, he's been playing extremely well. One of the best scores on par 5s. Great total driver. Good drive percentage. Could be a little bit better, but 24th in the field. Like, still not concerned about that. Birdie or better percentage. Second best in the field. And he's not making that many bogeys. So he does kind of feel like a starting point for me this week over Rory slightly. Now, obviously, Rory has been playing extremely well, but we do have to worry about with Rory is he is coming in after that somewhat choke job at the U.S. Open, obviously missing that putt. How is he going to be mentally, coming into this week? We got to figure that out. You can get him on most sites at like 7-1 or 7.5-1 betting wise. And honestly, I might just be doing 4 outright bets. So I might just end up on Rory, Xander, and then a couple other ones that I'll mention here in a second. But he is also someone that is coming in, checking all the boxes, just going to be tough to avoid. But the issue is that I do think studs and duds wise, I don't know if we're going to want to be doing that this week. So Rory is someone that obviously is coming in looking really good as well. 2nd, 15th, 4th, 12th, 1st. I mean, he has just been playing extremely well as well. Just where is he going to be at mentally? And so for me, I think I would rather just go with Xander, but we could be seeing a little bit of a showdown between Rory and Xander again at this event, like we saw a few events ago as well. Now, after those two, to me, kind of the clear-cut choice is going to be Tommy Fleetwood, just given that course history, given how well he's played thus far this season as well. really no bad results in there too much this season, which I think is huge, especially when we're looking at a player like Tommy Fleetwood. And looking at it outright-wise, guys, we can get him at like 20-1 on most sites. So he is kind of the starting point for me betting-wise. But again, I'm probably betting on Rory and Xander because, well, they're just the clear-cut options. And I don't think we need to go too deep this week because if Rory or Xander bring their A game, they are probably going to win. If they don't, someone like Tommy Fleetwood can find himself in the mix at a tournament that he has played well at in the past. Stat fit-wise, slight concern there. Do want to point that out. Par 5 scoring, he does need to take advantage of those. He ranks out 58th in the field, okay? And birdie or better percentage, 71st in the field. But again, those are weird stats to be popping up this week. And so Tommy Fleetwood is probably the outlier. If I were to look at it a little bit into more details, Tommy Fleetwood would probably be the outlier data point in those where he's doing it by not making many bogeys, hitting the greens, hitting good drives, and total driving it well, where he does rank out top 10 in total driving and good drive percent. So I'm not worried about him. And so DFS-wise, I do think going Xander to start and then also Tommy Fleetwood is going to be a good move to go with this week. But the issue with this week compared to like the last 2 weeks is that this is a loaded field. Like the last 2 weeks, guys, we did pretty much know what we were doing, right? We had 4 really good plays last week that were going to be on. Unfortunately, one missed the cut. Rocket Mortgage Classic, it was basically the same thing as well. Whereas this week, you guys can see literally the top 5 plays in the 9 to 5 model are also the top 5 plays on the board. So it could come down to ownership in terms of who we want to be on. Obear is someone I'd be happy to get to. Again, like he is someone that throughout this year, he hasn't had that many starts at many tournaments. And so the fact that he has some course experience here, I do think can be huge. And so maybe someone we're looking at, Collin Morikawa, I wouldn't blame you if you guys want to get there with him. He has struggled at this course in the past. Worth noting, but at the same time, this is probably the best stretch of golf he's played in his career after a slow start to the season. So like Morikawa has went 13th, 14th, 2nd, 4th, 4th, 16th, 23rd, 9th, 3rd, like just tremendous stuff there from him. But you guys can see, why the pecking order is Xander, Rory, and then Tommy Fleetwood. After that, it does open up a little bit more. Matt Fitzpatrick, someone that's popping up. Mingwoo Lee is someone that's popping up. I feel pretty comfortable with those guys, especially Mingwoo Lee, who has just been a top 25 machine, making 6 straight cuts in a row, and basically all of them have been top 30 or better finishes. His game does set up really well for this track. The one play that is still popping up is going to be Corey Connors, and again, he's been making a bunch of cuts thus far this season, and so it makes sense why he's popping up. Over his past 20 events, he's finished top 65% every single start. So pretty good stuff there, right? And obviously making 24 straight cuts in a row, that does make sense. Outright wise, do we want to get there with him? I don't know if I do. Like 40-1 on most sites, that's fine. Course history wise has gotten better each start here, which is something I like to see. So 3 years ago, miscut. 2 years ago, 55th. And then last year, top 20. Like that there from him. And again, looking at that form, guys, just strange the trends that's been, top 30, top 10, top 20, top 10, top 20, top 10. So, good stuff there from Corey Connors. We will certainly take that. He is someone at his price tag I do feel like maybe a little bit too priced up for his likelihood to win. But at the same time, giving us a top 10 place finish at this price, I'd be happy with that. And I think most people would be as well. And so Corey Connors, more of a mid-tier play, more someone that you'd probably want to get to if you're doing a fair and balanced build. Again, you could go Mingwoo Lee mixed in there as well, but also why not go back to Aaron Rai, who has won at this tournament in the past as well? No, this is when it was a DP Tour event, but former winner here, as is Mingwoo Lee for that matter as well. So you could load up on 3 former winners actually win builds and probably feel pretty good about it because they're all in great form. And I might just go with Aaron Rai again, betting wise. I haven't really been disappointed, right in the mix for 3 days last week. Still a top 10 place finish. Probably honestly should have won at the Rocket Mortgage Classic, but still 8 straight made cuts for him. Former winner at this event. He's a good stat fit. And actually what's funny about him as a play, the biggest concern that we have with him as a play is his course history, which is strange to say with the former winner. But since that win, it hasn't been that good. 35th, miscut, 78th. But I think it's easy to say that this is the best golf that he has been playing in his career as well. Just look at his past some starts. 4th, 39th, 32nd, 14th, 20th, 2nd, 7th. Just spectacular. And he's someone that we can get on BetMGM at 50-1. I am happy to roll with that, just trying to chase that upside. So far, outright wise, I think I'm happy to go Rory, even at 7.5-1. Xander at 8-1, 9-1 on a couple of sites. Then Tommy Fleetwood. Then I think the next one I want to go with is actually going to be Aaron Rai, former winner at this event. Could see him putting it all together. Kind of like Thompson did last week, where he was playing great golf for quite some time. kind of put it all together. I could see that happening with Aaron Rye this week as well. Now, from there, what do we do with these other plays here? So Wyndham Clark is someone that I still have left in my one and done picks, and I was kind of saving him, hoping that he would get better throughout the year, and maybe I could use him in the playoffs because, he won at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am, so we know he should be able to make the top 30 at least. And as of right now, I think he will be my one and done pick, and I said because obviously I've been on a pretty awesome stretch here. Davis Thompson last week, Aaron Rye the week before that, Scotty the week before that, and then Bryson at the U.S. Open. Now, that was an easy one with Bryson. I kind of mentioned for months prior to that I was saving Bryson outright-wise and one-and-done-wise for the U.S. Open because I thought he was set up well. But I'm in a predicament here. I don't really know who to go with for this week one-and-done-wise. And I say that because that's the first time where I felt like that thus far this year. But Clark, it's like, are we catching him playing some good golf? Now, this is a track that he has played well at in the past as well. 25th, 16th place finish. That does feel tough, though, with Clark. It does. I think he's a fine GPP play. I don't think he's someone we need to be going out of our way to roster. And then what do we do with Davis Thompson? I loved his mentality last week, and I bet a lot of you guys did as well. He just did not seem fazed really by much of what was going on last week. And to me, that's kind of huge for Davis Thompson. And so can he continue that good form? Because he is top 10 or better in all the key metrics that we look at. Recent form, stat fit, specialist. Now, he hasn't made a start at this tournament. That's what's going to hurt him. Again, I mentioned this a bunch. When we're looking at course history, one of the biggest data points in terms of predictability is actually just having starts at that course. Aaron Rye, maybe that's why it kind of fell off a little bit on Sunday. Keith Mitchell, a couple weeks ago, missed on the number. Maybe that's why. And so I don't think we should be expecting a top 10 finish out of Davis Thompson. But at this price tag, and maybe we get a good make cut bet out of him, I think that's the route we could go with him. And so I think Davis Thompson is someone we can get to. I do think he'll make the cut. Do we need to go out of our way to roster him? I don't think so. That's the question. And so let's just go ahead and touch on some other plays that we have. Bazoonhound is someone that's casually popping up. We can get there with him. Keith Mitchell is a play that the data likes. Thomas Dietrich. Data likes 5 straight make cuts for him. Tom Hoagie is someone that's going to casually pop. EVR is someone that is a good stat fit. Those two could pop. And it wouldn't be shocking, but those two are going to be GPP only plays. I think value-wise, especially if you're going with Rory or Xander, I do think Ben Griffin does make some sense. He is someone that I do think will be able to make the cut. Over his past 20 starts, he has been making a bunch of cuts, or right around a made cut. 3 straight now on the PGA Tour. Had a really good finish last week. Has course experience here. And so at this cheap of a price tag, 6.6, he is someone that I could see making the cut. Do we want to go crazy with it? No. But at the same time, good enough. Top 25 finish at this event last year. I'm okay with that. I think he's a strong kind of shoulder shrug value play. And then what do we do with some of the plays that were popping up last week? Like Kevin Yu, this should not be a good week for Kevin Yu. Course-wise, this is not a good track for him, per se. I mean, we look at the specialist data. This is where it starts to kind of get to him a little bit more so than the norm. Hasn't played well on harder scoring tracks. Doesn't play well on these style events, link style courses. But pricing-wise, I think I can get there still because he is still a decent stat fit, top 20 in the field. I am annoyed by him because I wish he was actually playing in the other event because he would have been the top play in the field there. But he's someone that you can get to a little bit value-wise. I think he's fine. Andrew Novak. My biggest question is, what do we do with Andrew Novak this week? Missed the cut at this event 2 years ago, but does have that course experience, so I'd like to see that there from him. And obviously has been trending in the right direction. Been playing great golf, though. I mean, look at his recent 7 starts. 7th, 20th, 14th, 71st, 54th, 30th, 23rd. So just good stuff there from Andrew Novak. And so if we can get a guy that just makes the cut at 6.2, I'm all for that. And Andrew Novak has been this play really for a decent amount of the year now, about a month and a half, maybe 2 months now, where he continues to be too low priced. He continues to be someone that we can look at because he's mispriced. And so really at this price, all we're hoping for is a made cut. And I'm very interested to see what his lines come out to be for made cut. Betway has him about 1-to-1 to make the cut, which I love that. If we can get that there from him, I think that's a good bet for us. And its game sets up fine for this track. I mean, nothing elite. You look at total driving, 70th in the field, so don't like that. That's the concern. But he's scoring enough. Good drive percentages there, top 20 there. So again, at this price tag, I think I'm okay with it. And so I'm actually going to put him into the build here. But I do want to call out, this week we do have a lot of DP Tour players that do have a lot of good made cut percents this year. And so it's tough to know what to do with it. The issue with DP Tour players is that they are hit or miss. Now, we got to see with someone like this who's obviously popping 7 top 10s on the DP Tour, 12 out of 13 make cuts. Why did he withdraw from the KLM Open? That was almost 3 weeks ago now. Stuff like that's important. I just don't have that information just yet at this point in the week. So with that, let's go ahead and close out this build, give you guys that first look build. So yeah, it is a little bit more of a difficult week, I would say, lineup wise. Like, I am fine to get to like Keith Mitchell. He's always someone that's, okay getting to. Not exactly someone I've been going on my way to get to. Ben Griffin, do I really want to go with 2 values there? I don't know if I exactly do, but for now, for the first build, kind of okay with it, because that does leave us with getting to someone like Aaron Rye, who I would be comfortable to get to. Now, I don't think the lineup builder is going to agree with me here. I'm actually very curious, so let's go ahead and show you guys that. All right, so let's go ahead and give this bad boy 2 data points to go off of. We are going to be on Xander. We know that. So let's just do, raises up a little bit. And then same thing with Rory. Like, we know we're going to want to be on them a little bit. And just an FYI here, if you guys are ever going into these projections, you can just double click on that, and then hit the arrow down to go down by 1 point or whatever, just as an FYI, which is what I'm doing right now. I should call out real quick that if you are someone that isn't a 9 to 5 member, no better time to sign up than right now. Obviously been on a pretty hot stretch fantasy golf wise. You guys can get access to those fantasy golf tools plus all the props betting tools on the website for just $5 a month for the first month. It's typically a $10 membership. If you use the promo code SUMMER, you will get 50% off. So $5 for the first membership, which gives you access to all these premium golf tools. Again, I priced that way for you guys. Take advantage of that. It's only available for the first 200 members that sign up using that. It's going to be available until August 1st. P.S. guys, I hate doing that. I hate the business side of it, but the promos and whatnot, I don't like patting myself on the back. I just don't. But let's go ahead and generate this lineup. Just see what the top lineup is per the data. And so right now, I like this actually a decent amount. Maybe not Christian Bazoonhout, but it's kind of telling us fair and balanced is the way to go. I probably like this one slightly better. Yeah, probably a little bit too much CBAS. If I had to choose one, like right off the bat that I like the most is probably this one. Tommy Fleetwood, Corey Connors, Aaron Rye, Wyndham Clark. A little bit too risky probably for cash. Noren and Mitchell. And it is spreading out the ownership a lot though, guys. 30% max exposure really is spreading this out a decent amount, which I think is interesting to note because sometimes it gets pretty heavily concentrated on plays. So that is going to do it for the Scottish Open. I do just want to touch on the alternative event that we have going on as well. Let's go back into the cheat sheet. And so looking at this tournament, it is going to be a different name. This tournament was formerly known as the Barbasol Championship, but it is going to be played on the same course. So when we look at like past results and whatnot, and the key stat data that we're going to be looking at, we know what to be looking at because, well, we have seen this course a decent amount. And so that is good. And so this week, just using the 9 to 5 cheat sheet, again, what you can do is because it's an alternative field event, just click on PGA 2 and that'll populate this data. And so last week, a FOMO bet for me was Luke Glenn. Thankfully, he finished second. Right now, you can get him at 14-1, 16-1 on some sites, and I feel good about that. Now, I do want to call it with the profile here. This is not going to work for the secondary event. I haven't done that just yet, just as an FYI. And looking at guys, Luke Glenn, because he's made limited starts and not a PGA Tour, he's still an amateur. We're not having key stats for him. We know based on what we've seen, though, he still would be like a top 10 stat fit. Best in recent form, though. Best specialist based off of that data. So he is getting slightly bumped down in the 9 to 5 model because of a sample size adjustment, but he's still second in the field, which is very good. So DFS-wise, love the price tag. Betting-wise, the fact that we're getting him at 14-1, 16-1 on some sites, I really do like that. Ben Silverman, though, is the player that's coming in as the top pick in the 9 to 5 model this week, and you can get him on some sites at 40-1. This is why I like these tournaments because, well, for example purposes, we were able to hit Bryce Gardner at 70-1 earlier on this year, which really helps your ROI on the year when you can hit a golfer at 70-1 simply because it's an alternative field event. Like normal weeks, he wouldn't have been that high had it been one tournament. And I do feel like that's going to happen with Ben Silverman. I have seen the odds adjust a little bit though. So we can still get him at 40-1 on some sites. I think that's a great bet. DFS wise, should be a safe play. He's probably someone I'm looking at more to honestly probably bet to top 20. He does have course experience here 4 years ago, which I don't love, but he was able to make the cut there. Key stat-wise, we know what key stats we're looking at: birdie or better percentage, strokes gained off the tee, total driving, par 5 scoring, and good drive percentage. It's actually weird how similar this week is in terms of key stat data compared to the other tournament, and they're kind of different tracks. It's always weird how that works out. But the concern with him is total driving hasn't been that great. That's the one concern with him stat fit wise. But recent form, we can see guys 3 top 20 finishes, and then the other 2 finishes are 35th and 32nd. So he has been playing some great golf since that withdrawal that he had. So yes, he's the top pick in the 9 to 5 mile. Feel pretty good about him as a play this week. And we got a plethora of good options. Mac Meissner, I believe that's how you say it, is someone that is popping up, which is a little bit surprising to me. He is someone that has been a little bit hit or miss, but that's the thing with these secondary events is that all the golfers are going to be a little bit hit or miss. But he is someone stat fit wise does pop up. He He is someone I will have an outright bet on. Maybe not DFS wise. He does feel maybe a little bit too risky for cash. Michael Kim is someone I could potentially get to. Chan Kim is someone I could potentially get to. But you guys are already seeing lots of hit or miss nature with this field. And so that there is a slight concern there. Joel Damon is probably someone that I will begin to betting wise, whether that be a top 10 bet or someone I'm betting outright wise. Again, we can get him at about 40-1. Feel pretty good about that. But I want to talk about some of the better Staffits in the field. Hayden Springer is someone that really popping up Staffit wise, good in birdie or better percentage. You need to be scoring here. Good in stroking off the tee. 6th in the field there. Total driving could be better, but second best in the field in par 5 scoring as well. So he is someone we're looking at. Harry Hall, someone I think we can get to. But Ricky Hoy is someone that I think is a good sneaky option as well. You can get these guys at like 100-1 odds right now, which let me just double check that. Okay, so Hoy's has come down a little bit, 60-1 now. And then Hayden Springer's at 45-1. So, that does make sense. But there is going to be some value there. And so I think he's someone you can look at. If you want to bet him on the cooties, you can. Kevin Stroman, I think if we could get a made cut market, he could be someone we're looking at there. 5 straight made cuts from him now. But I did want to touch on that tournament a little bit there because I want to give you guys a good starting point betting wise. Hopefully the odds don't shift too much. They already have started to shift a little bit, but I do think there's some edges there. But that's going to be all for today's video. Again, if you guys want access to any of the tools that you saw in this video, plus much more, head on over to 9to5sports.com. Again, it's available right now if you sign up for your first month for just $5 for the first month and then $10 a month after that, already priced at the lowest price possible for you guys. So take advantage of that. That's going to be all though for today's video. Good luck. Hopefully you guys have been taking advantage of the kind of awesome, few months that we've had in a row now. But that's going to be all for today's video. Make sure to give a like and subscribe. Do appreciate that. Let's have a good week. And as always, let's keep cashing.